All right, everyone. Trump is really good with optics, even while convincing people that he's really a dunderhead. That's the greatest victory I think he's had is making his enemies think that he's dumb instead of very calculating. And so when he joked with Putin about election interference, it was really funny because he was there in, I guess, in Japan, sitting next to Putin and basically doing the handshake thing. And as they were, I guess getting ready to leave, the reporters that were in the room, they're flashing their cameras and they're like, "Oh, Mr. President, Mr. President. Will you tell him not to interfere in the election," or something like that? It's such a stupid fucking question. Because you've already had the Mueller report say there was no collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. You've had the Mueller report, among other groups of people, say there was no considerable amount of actual election interference from the Kremlin. There was no election interference. The 2016 results, although a lot of people didn't like them, namely people who are Democrats, was fair, was very straightforward. We know that now. The autopsy of what happened has been done continuously for several years by everybody under the sun. Even Nate Silver said, yeah, by the way, if Russia was trying to interfere with the election, it didn't really work. A handful of Facebook ads does not election interference make. I'm sitting there, I'm trying to think of a situation. Like, let me imagine this. Let's say there's the Russian election. Let's say that because of the global nature of the internet, let's say that I, as a joke, make an anti-Putin ad and put it on Facebook and spend some money on it. Am I interfering in the Russian election and subject to Russian jurisdiction all of a sudden? Does it break their democracy? Does it make terrible things go on? No. People on the internet do it for free all the time, weighing in on politics. What do you think I'm doing at the moment? It's pretty straightforward. But he got the entire press to talk about nothing else for a whole 24-hour cycle. I looked it up. I looked up Trump. Over and over, article after article after article. It was like 3 fucking pages, a fucking tidal wave of articles about this joke and how it was evidence that Trump did something wrong. It was a dog whistle to Putin, and micro-analyzing it in every possible way. Analyzing their handshake, analyzing the way they looked at each other, analyzing the way Trump sort of chuckled a little bit. And I'm just thinking to myself, this is evidence of a severe obsession, number one, on behalf of certain elements of society, namely the legacy media. I mean, it's tabloid stuff, so they can make money off of it. So it's not like even necessarily malevolent, they just want a lot of money. So there's one part of it. And number two, Trump is sitting there, and inside he's even more smug. Like, he chuckles a little bit at his own joke, but inside I think he wishes he had chuckled more, or had been able to just throw his head back and guffaw loudly. Because he realized, I think, that the legacy media would take the bait in the first place. And they did, and they've been doing that consistently. It's basically Trump can say or do anything, and a news article is written. So if he says or does anything that they think they can attack him on, it's better. But here's the thing, here's the genius of it. The more Russia thing is over. It's been over now for some time. The investigation exonerated Trump and his inner circle of all wrongdoing. Since that's the case, if he can get them to bring it up, it just looks like they're beating a dead horse. It makes them look as obsessed as they really are. And they're happy to oblige because it makes a good headline. One of them writes a headline, oh, Trump jokes about election interference, in the context of being next to Putin especially. Oh, everyone else runs with it. They try to beat each other to the press. It's like when they make their tweets, all the pundits and stuff. You don't even need these news sites anymore. Just let them use their Twitter handles. Give these pundits minimum wage because that's about what they're fucking worth. Well, not even that, but... Trump's 4D chess move. It's really funny because the black pillars are still whining even though everything he's doing is slowly falling into place. If you look, it's like Trump is painting a picture. It's sort of like Bob Ross. At first, it's like, what the fuck are you doing? There's some random shit on the canvas, and then all of a sudden he smooths something out or draws one more line and a picture appears. That's what I think the Trump presidency really resembles at this point, because at first even his own fans are like, aha, he's the chaos candidate. Accelerationism. And now they're seeing, oh, he's actually building up towards bigger things. Like, you look at his maneuvering around Congress on the wall, or on border security, and now all of a sudden they want to fund more border security here because he went around them. He said, fuck the Ninth Circuit, I'm just going to ignore you and talk directly to Mexico and Guatemala to get the problem solved. And then Congress begrudgingly says, oh, no, wait, here, we'll pass this $4.5 billion border bill. So he's got these people to rant about pretty much whatever he wants. He can get them to cover news just by spelling something improperly. because it'll go viral. People spread it around, and in the context of the left wing, they're mocking his spelling as though he's actually incapable of knowing the difference between there and there or something like that. And it drives them nuts. And the grammar police show up and spread it far and wide. And then the legacy media has no choice but to report on it. Like, what was that one time he took credit for it too. He said something like, I can even get CNN to tell the truth about, what was it, crime statistics or something, gun crime. I can't remember exactly what the context was, but I mean, it's masterful. Because usually the legacy media buries things that are inconvenient, but Trump can get around that easily. He'll talk about it to millions of people on Twitter, and it'll spread around the internet. The creator community, sort of independent content creators, will talk about it. And then the legacy media, like, they don't want to suck hind tit on a juicy story that's already in people's minds, so they try to get out in front of it. But the problem is they shoot themselves in the foot every single time this happens. But Trump didn't collude with the Russians. The Mueller report, which was weaponized from day one and was just at some point a retroactive attempt to justify its own existence because it was so botched, never found any evidence of any wrongdoing. He was completely cleared of collusion with Russia. So too were all of his insiders. The closest thing to a major crime that occurred that they found was the Manafort shit. And that was 10 years old at the time of the election. It was badly dated. It was from the Bush administration was when he was laundering money, and it wasn't even for Russians. It was for a pro-Russian group, but I mean, that has nothing to do with Trump. I don't even think they were associated at the moment. Was Manafort a friend of Trump in the mid-2000s? I think they might have. I'm sure that they met or something because Trump rubbed elbows with all these people, but I don't think they ever worked together or anything. Be a very interesting thing to find out. That's about all. Peace out.